You're listening to the Why I Love Disney podcast. In this episode, we talk all about David's trip to the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida over the New Year's holiday. We hope you enjoy.
Are there things you have to hit every single year? They're just your favorites. You got to do them every time.
I feel like I got to hit everything.
Yeah,
Everything every time.
Don't you have to hit everything every time?
Welcome to another episode of Why I Love Disney podcast. I'm Dustin.
I'm David.
And I'm Ramin.
Ramin is here. We're all here together in the studio today talking about why we love Disney. It's what we do. We get here together multiple times, hopefully a week, a month, periodically, to explore the world of Disney and what makes us happy about it.
We talk about it all the time. We just don't always get it recorded.
Never with microphones in our faces. And
Probably for the best, honestly.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully we're a little more eloquent for you and a little more censored and to the point and organized and researched, we should say. But we're excited to come to you today. We got an episode, we hinted at it in the last one. David, over the Christmas holiday, you took your family to Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida, right?
Yes.
Kissimmee.
Yes.
Whatever it is down there. And you spent, how long did you get to spend in the park?
This time we were there from the 28th of December to January 4th.
So you had almost a full week over New Year's.
Yes.
Fascinating time, because my experience growing up in Central Florida is the Central Floridians know you avoid the parks on the holidays because it's the peak season. A lot of people are surprised to find Florida itself, tourist season is the winter, not the summer. And so it peaks out. The golf prices are through the roof in the winter time.
Right.
Disney is the same way. You said I think capacity one of the days?
Yeah, one of the days, actually New Year's Eve, the Magic Kingdom closed because of park capacity.
Fascinating.
No more people could come in.
So did you choose to go over New Year's because it was New Year's? Or
we chose to go. This is the only second time I've ever been this week, but the week after Christmas to New Year's. And the reason we went this time, it was the only time with our schedules, with all of our kids, that we could go. And it's a lot of family reasons, but it was the only time we could work it out over the past year and a half that we could all get there at the same time. I've been with different kids at different times, but this is the first time in about a year and a half we could work it out to go. So we decided to do it. It was my son's 18th birthday. He really wanted to be there on his 18th birthday. Pretty cool. So we made it happen. His birthday was on the 28th, the day that we got there. And so we knew it was going to be crazy. Fortunately, we've been to the parks many times, so we knew that if the lines were long, we had lots of great fast passes for our favorite rides. So we knew that if nothing else, we had fast passes to 3 rides every day. And we knew there were other things that we would enjoy doing. We love to be in the park, so we knew that we'd be all right. And it was going to be decorated for Christmas. There'd be lots of different shows and parades and things like that you only see one time of year. So, but I did keep warning everybody. Now the crowds are going to be crazy, so get ready. And when I had been there about 20 years ago, I was there when I was much younger. And I remember the crowds being so thick that you could hardly move. Awesome. So I expected this to be even more here in 2019, 2020.
Well, I'm excited. I think we're excited to ask you some questions about this because it's been a few years since I've been to the parks.
Right.
I grew up going, but it's changed so much.
Right.
The other thing is over the holidays, that dynamic. And third, for people who listen, the parks are like, for some, an anchor for why they love Disney. The parks are kind of all the things you've seen on the screen and on television kind of come to life in this immersive kind of experience. So if you're a park lover, this episode is for you.
Right.
I grew up a park lover and can't wait to get back.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait to start peppering you here with some questions about your experience over this.
Yeah.
Specifically, go ahead. I
was going to say, about three or 4 years ago, we went the week before Christmas, which is a lighter week. And I never realized then how many people every year go at Christmas.
Just go
there are
for
people
Christmas?
that bring Christmas trees to their rooms. and they celebrate Christmas. I mean, we saw people coming in with Christmas trees and decorations. People decorate from this year. This year we stayed at the cabins at Fort Wilderness. People decorate their campgrounds, their campsites, their golf carts, their campers. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, this is a huge tradition for a lot of people to be there that week. They choose to be there that week because they want to be there for the decorations or for the New Year's Eve party. I've definitely heard experts that you can listen to online and that talk about it on a scale of 1 to 10. This on crowds, this is a 14 or 15. Wow. This is over the norm.
Okay,
crowded.
The New Year's or Christmas in general?
I think the whole week is that, but especially New Year's.
Okay. Awesome. So you go down there, and you said you stayed at Fort Wilderness this time.
Yeah, we stayed at Fort Wilderness.
Let's talk about first, like when you're choosing and setting this up and deciding where to go and where to stay. Or do you like to try different places out, or do you have like a favorite all time, or kind of a go-to?
We have stayed through the years different places, just depending on different times, different budgets, different offers that they had, different what was available. This time when we were going, this was available to stay at the cabins. We stayed there once before, and it was a great experience.
So your family of 5?
A family of 5, but the previous time we stayed there, we had my mother-in-law with us. This time we had my son's girlfriend was with us, so there were 6.
Gotcha.
It is a very tight cabin for 6 people. It sleeps 6 people.
At Fort Wilderness this time?
Yes, at Fort Wilderness it sleeps 6 people, but there's 1 bathroom.
Okay.
So, but there aren't as many places that 6 people can stay as if you're a family of 4. So it is a challenge when you have 3 kids, or in your case 4 kids, because you can't all cram in one room.
Right. And the idea of getting multiple rooms, just all of a sudden, like, oh my goodness, it's already expensive. So yes, we stayed in everything from the All-Star resorts, which are the more family budget, and we've stayed in a couple of the deluxe. We've stayed at Floridian, we've stayed at the Contemporary, we've stayed at the campgrounds. We've tried some different things, and my family really likes the campground a lot. It was great going back. They had great memories as kids. We rented the golf carts. You can rent a golf cart for your cabin, and you can ride all around the campground, and you can go see the decorations that people are doing. You can also use the golf cart to get around to the different restaurants in the campground and get to the boat dock that you can take to the Magic Kingdom. I think a lot of people, like, this is kind of a hidden gem. Like, it kind of goes under the radar for Disney resorts. It's a campground.
It is.
And you could bring your RV.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And there's hookups for that, or you can rent a cabin. Mm-hmm. Is there tent camping also?
There is an area that you can do that.
I think so. It's the only Disney resort growing up in Central I've ever been to. I've ever stayed at. I had some friends that went one time, and we all stayed in a cabin there, and absolutely loved the experience. We brought our bikes. It was kind of you're free to just sort of roam the trails. Right. I don't know if they still do. This was years ago.
We definitely saw a lot of people riding bikes, and there were
sand volleyball courts,
horseback riding.
Okay,
you can ride horses.
Do they have is there still like the restaurant and lodge and breakfast place and the country store?
There's several of those things, trading posts. There's a few stores, and there's a restaurant there called the Trails Inn, which is one of our family favorites. We really enjoy it because it's very good food. It's not as crowded as a lot of the resort meals.
That's what I remember too, is it has a laid back. It less.
Does. And then they have there's a real popular show there called the Hoop-de-Doo Review that's at the Pioneer Hall that a lot of people will, especially if they're on a meal plan, or if it's a meal and a Wild West show that's kind of vintage, kind of retro Disney kind of stuff from the old Frontierland days, but it's out there in the campground, and people come out to see that aren't staying in the park. Yeah. So that brings people in too.
Do they still have the campfire thing at night where they show the outdoor movie?
They do have a lot of extra things like that, and they even on New Year's Eve the campground had its own. Its own party, and you could watch the fireworks down. From the water and several things. We actually ended up being in the park for New Year's Eve, but they had activities. There's plenty to do in the campground.
Yeah, I remember just being fascinated, but it's just a sort of different vibe for Disney, but absolutely loved it.
And we talked with some people that told us that they have campers that will come and stay from November to February.
Wow.
People that stay there all the way through the holiday season. would be incredible.
Yeah, that'd
to
be
be
insane.
able to stay down there.
Now I remember
long.
that. Do they still have the little water sprites? The little boats the single person boats you can rent.
They do have the boats.
Those are incredible fun. That's a ton of fun. Little gas powered single person boats you can rent.
We have not done that before. We said we were going to do it again this time. We just run out of time.
Yeah, there's so much. That's the thing about Disney. You always got to come back. There's more to do that you never can.
And my wife loves all those things at the campground. She's always trying to pull us that direction.
Yeah.
The kids right now, they still love doing the park stuff so much. It's hard to choose. It's hard to decide what to do.
Yeah, it's a different, but something for every personality and every type and every vacation. Disney offers it. I mean, from water parks to nightlife now at Disney Springs. Were you inside? Did you ever leave the property the entire time you were there?
No.
Okay, so you were in the Disney. So you're at Fort Wilderness or in a park. Did you go anywhere else, or
we did not? We went to Disney Springs.
Okay,
we did do some shopping there, but other than that, no.
Now, since the last time you went, Disney Springs has been renovated quite a bit. What were your impressions of Disney Springs?
Well, we had actually divided up, and 3 of the girls in our group had gone shopping, and 3 of us were in the park.
Okay.
And by the time we all met up together at Disney Springs, the other 3 had been there a good while. So I was only there for a little while. I went to the World of Disney store and a couple other places there while we were there. So I didn't see as much. It was very, very crowded when we were there. It was actually one of the biggest crowds we dealt with, and so we were going to eat there, and
because it's open to the public. Like there's no.
We were going to eat there, and the lines everywhere were so long that we called back to the trails end at the park, and they had a reservation, so we ended up grabbing that and going back to the campground and eating instead.
Cool. So your experience at Fort Wilderness, you had done this before, and it was awesome again. But the nostalgia too with your family.
Yeah, we got the golf cart. And of course, when we had the golf cart before, none of our kids could drive, and now they can. But everybody still wanted the golf cart.
Yeah,
and it actually is really convenient. And if you really want to explore, it's a great little fun thing. They don't have very many, so you want to make sure if you're going to stay at Fort Wilderness that you get that cart earlier, because we even when we picked up our cart, which we had reserved a few months ago, whenever the earliest you could, there were lots of people wanting to get carts, and there weren't enough available.
They let you bring your own if you.
I don't know. I guess if you're in the campground, you can't. I don't know. Yes, we definitely saw people driving their own. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
how early did you get started that day? How did your day kick off? What did that look like?
Well, we actually flew in. On the morning of the 28th, we had like a 5 a.m. flight. We were there at the airport by 7 or 7:30 a.m. And we were in the park pretty much as soon as it opened, because my son was determined to be there on his birthday. So we actually were in there pretty fast. And it was good. It was a great day. I mean, we had a great all the things Disney is so good about. If you are staying at a resort, they took care of all of our luggage. Everything was so easy to do. And when we got to Fort Wilderness, we were there much earlier than our rooms and check-in time is ready. So we just stored everything there. They actually moved everything to our rooms later on in the day. So when we came back later on, everything was already in our room. And,
just the way you want it.
Yeah. So we just went straight onto the park and had a great day. And actually, that first day, one of my favorite things about this trip, and this is just something our family has discovered the past 2 or 3 times. We get more done the first day, and we're always amazed, because it's like the first day we're there, the crowds always seem lighter. And we've been there different times of the year, but that first day we know go, because if you wait, it's like the crowd somehow gets bigger the second, third day that we're there.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, we had a great day. I mean, we did. We kept a list of everything we did every day.
First day.
We always usually go to Magic Kingdom first day, and we were just really amazed at how many things we got done that first day. We had some great fast passes. We did all the roller coasters and really almost every attraction that's our favorites, and it's just some because there were no lines at all. But we were amazed, and I was really surprised. The 28th was the least crowded day that we experienced, because it's right in the middle of Christmas and New Year's Eve. I thought I expected while we were there from the 28th through the 4th that the crowd might go down, maybe the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but it actually picked up.
Interesting.
Yeah. We definitely knew that the first day we got way more done.
Okay.
Way more done. And walked about 25,000 steps.
Wow.
On our phone.
Okay, so some of the highlights of the trip, of the times there, we were, talking a little bit before we went and hit the record button, and you've already alluded to, you're with your family. It's your son's birthday, kind of celebrating that. You've been other times before, and you're in Fort Wilderness, which has some nostalgia things with your family from the past. When you're experiencing Disney with your family like that, or is it what this time, as they've gotten a little older, how would you contrast that to times in the past? And from staying at Fort Wilderness to your experience in the park to dining, how has that kind of evolved over the years? Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. Well, as we've talked about why we love Disney so much, one thing I have loved with my family through the years is that the experience is always, it's nostalgic and it's the same, but it's always different because we're always in a different place. My kids, we took them when they were 3 and 5, and that's different than taking them when they're teenagers. It's just we're just in a different place. I really loved this trip. We had a great time. We were at a place this time where we could finally say everybody's at an age that you can do what you want to do. If you want to sleep late, you can sleep late. If you want to stay at the park till 1 a.m., you can stay at the park till 1 a.m. Everybody can do what they want to do. And we went about 3 years ago. There was a trip that I went, wow, as teenagers, I don't know if this is pretty stressful because everybody wanted to do a different thing. And this was completely different. We were kind of at a different place in life, and it was fun. We were all actually, even my kids were at a place that we could actually stop and watch families that had smaller children and enjoy watching their children experience things and see princesses and things on stage and in parks and reacting to things, which was I've been used to watching my kids all the time and how they're responding. Now I could step back and see and again, amazed. I felt like I saw even more families with such young children. Like it's so much work. It's so much work to tap a couple of toddlers and a baby. In the parks. I'm amazed that people can do all that. It's a lot of work. You must really love it to be doing all that. But so we're different because we're with teenagers, but it was a great experience because we could do and it was really fun too. We've been to the parks a lot through the years, and we had my son's girlfriend was with us this time, and she's been to the parks, but only a couple of times, and there were so many. She's been on short trips when she's been, and so there were a lot of iconic attractions she had never experienced. She's a huge Disney fan. She watches all the movies. She's a huge Disney movie fan, but there were all these things like Pirates of the Caribbean she had never done, and Haunted Mansion, and several of these things. She'd ridden Space Mountain, several things like that, but some of the attractions she had never done. So that was fun.
That's cool.
Just getting to be with her and enjoying all that through her eyes too.
Bringing someone for the first time is always a fun. This another Florida thing. You have a lot of guests that come, family that comes in. They all want to go to Disney World, and to go with them and kind of walk with them through things they never and see things for the first time is really a cool experience to do Disney that way too. That's pretty fascinating.
So we enjoyed that a lot, and always great family time. And another thing, just the New Year's Eve was crazy.
An actual holiday. Okay, so tell me that experience of New Year's Eve.
There were lots of surprises because one of my daughters, I went with her on the 30th. They had late night hours on the 30th, and I knew they were doing the fireworks later that night, like at midnight. And she doesn't love really crowded spaces, and so I said, why don't we go on the 30th and watch the fireworks, just in case it's really crowded on the 31st and you don't want to go. And they actually did the exact same show on the 30th as the 31st. So at midnight, they counted it down. They said, Happy New Year. So I thought that was really good because a lot of people saw it on the 30th, and that may have been part of the process is just to create another environment so people can experience New Year's Eve, even though it's not. But I still kind of wanted to be there on New Year's Eve, so we were kind of planning on coming back. We said, well, we've seen the show. We could let somebody else have that spot in the street, and we can. Well, so we'll just. But I kind of want to be back in the park. But on the 31st, we had fast passes at Epcot. So we're in Epcot, and I think around 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they said the park had reached capacity at Magic Kingdom. And so we were like, oh, great.
Can't get in.
Now, the rest of our group all wanted to see New Year's Eve, and Disney and the Magic Kingdom are not going to be able to go over. So we were like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. We'll just do it at Epcot. But we weren't really excited because we kind of set our mind. But they had the new show that's at Epcot, the fireworks show, the regular fireworks show, which replaced Illuminations. It's called Epcot Forever. We decided to stay for that. We watched that. And while that was going on, we could see the fireworks going on at Disney, at Magic Kingdom, and they were doing the New Year's Eve at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm not exactly sure what the time was, but they were doing it already. So we thought maybe that will alleviate enough of the crowd. And so about 8 o'clock, that's exactly what happened. They opened Magic Kingdom back up. I guess enough people had left. So then we were able to get back on the monorail and go back over and watch the midnight. I guess that first showing was more for families that have younger kids that don't want to stay up till midnight. Smart. So they actually did it twice on New Year's. So we got back in. But it was pretty sad there for a while. It didn't feel good to be closed out.
Yeah.
To be told it was at capacity, and you're there and you're wanting to be there and you can't get in. I thought it would hit capacity. I was thinking like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, people going on over for the fireworks. I didn't think about there being an earlier fireworks, and that it might fill up in the afternoon that early.
Why we love Disney, they've thought of everything. The little kids' New Year's, and then the grown-up, the real New Year's. Yeah. So
we saw it 2 out of 3 times they did it, and we saw it across the bay from Epcot one time.
So once you're in there for the park, what's it like? Like, is everybody out on the streets? Is like Times Square except the Disney version?
And I suppose there were people. A lot of times we watch the fireworks from anywhere in the park where we're not usually like.
You're not going to go carve out your spot, right? And
right. Sometimes we have. Like if I know it depends on the show. There have been some great fireworks shows through the years, some that I've liked better than others. And the fireworks are always great. Right. To me, it's the show that changes and what they're projecting and the different music they use. Whether that's what makes it. Whether you one year to another, I might like it better or than another. But the fireworks were great. It was huge. And probably the biggest fireworks show I've ever seen. Someone told us that it's kind of basically the same thing they do at Not So Scary Halloween and the Very Merry Christmas parties that are exclusive, extra ticketed events. Right. And we've been there for the Mickey's Not So Scary a few times, but we've usually watched it from another part of the park because we're kind of there for the rides and not so much to be in the middle of Main Street watching. But I thought one time I want to be on Main Street watching the fireworks on New Year's Eve. I thought that would be a fun thing to do. So
that's super cool.
It was very crowded, and people do press in. That's one of the challenges is that everybody's not as considerate as some others, and somebody's always willing to press in right at the last minute and get in front of your child that's shorter and they can't see suddenly, so those things are always a challenge, but it was still a great experience. Fortunately, fireworks were up in the sky. Everybody gets a pretty good view.
Totally. So with New Year's Eve and what we're talking about here, did anything drop? Like, they drop anything? Is there a count? How'd the countdown work?
They did a countdown. Like Mickey and Minnie were there, and they did a countdown 1, 2, 3, and then they had already done a huge fireworks climax, and then they did the countdown, and then more went off. And when they went off, they were going off over the castle, behind the train station, and all up and down Main Street, behind all the buildings. So you were completely encircled.
Immersed. That's pretty cool.
Immersed was a very good word.
Yeah.
It's a great fireworks.
So New Year's Eve was fantastic. This is your first time at New Year's Eve in the park?
It's my first time in New Year's Eve in about 15 years.
Okay.
And it was much bigger than I remembered.
Okay.
than what they did. I mean, all the projection technology, all the things they do now, I don't think they were doing the last time we were there. It would have been just more of a fireworks and music show. But so it was just amazing. I mean, it's just everywhere you look, there's something to see, and the environment was great, and it was fun, and it was a great party, and it's still it's for the family.
Yeah, sure.
So it's midnight, but it's all family oriented.
Yeah, that's great. So did you want to jump in?
I was just curious, like as somebody that's gone regularly, what's your strategy? Like, how do you approach the park? If that makes sense. Like, what you want to see? Like, what is your kind of approach for the day?
Well, this trip, because the crowds were so big, we definitely saw every day, which I think is very normal for people to see, is that in the afternoons the crowds are much thicker from like noon till 5 or 6 in the afternoon. It's just everything is a long line. So we tried to be there. Usually, the ones of us who want to really ride the rides the most, we're trying to be there when the park's open so we can hit 2 or 3 of our favorite things. We usually try to schedule our Fast Pass tickets for the afternoons when the crowds are biggest, and then we try to get back in the evening when the crowds are a little bit lighter, because the younger kids have gone and things just thin out, and it gets a little cooler. And we were several nights we were there. The park was open till midnight or 1 o'clock, and so 11 to 1, you see that a lot of the lines really drop. But there are several things like Space Mountain, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, a few of those like that they can run up to an hour all night long. Yeah. Fortunately, you just have to be in the line before closing.
There you go,
and you can get on.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So. If you're a ride person, get there early, get a few in, schedule your Fast Passes for the afternoon. These are just little tips for everybody. And then when it gets later, the crowds disperse a little bit too, and you can get it ride a lot more. That's just what we've seen. It seems like the middle of the day always seems to be the most crowded. And we because we have some that are late risers, and we have some that love to stay late. We try to put our Fast Passes for the whole family in the middle of the day, because we knew that was the most crowded time. And then the ones that wanted to go in the morning could go in the morning and do what they wanted. The ones that wanted to go at night, they can stand. You could stand in line when you wanted to, but we put our Fast Passes in the day. And a lot of there have been times that we might would have gone and done some shopping in the afternoon instead, gone and done something different. And we did one day. We were so tired we went back and maybe skipped something and took a break and went back and got some rest and then came back later. We did a little bit different every day.
Are there things you have to hit every single year? They're just your favorites. You got to do them every time.
I feel like I got to hit everything.
Yeah, everything every time.
Don't you have to hit everything every time? I think I would feel. The stuff that was nostalgic to me as a kid, like Pirates and Space Mountain and Haunted Mansion. I don't know that I feel like I've been to Disney if I haven't done those things. But our big goal, my son and I, our big goal this time is we were going to give up anything to get on Rise of Resistance. Yeah. So whatever it took, we would give up anything else if we got a chance to ride that one.
Which is the brand new ride in Galaxies Edge, which is the brand new Star Wars themed area in Walt Disney World, Hollywood Studios. And so you got there, and I know this. We're going to talk about this here. We might as well talk about it now. You brought it up. So this is the new thing everybody's talking about, right?
Yes, and we knew it was open, so we kind of went down there thinking, hey, we're going to get to ride Rise of Resistance. Not till like the few days before we get there do we realize it's not. You can't get in line yet.
Okay,
it's not a.
Let's back up just a touch. So Galaxy's Edge itself,
right?
It opened in the summer of this 2019, this past year, right?
Yes, it opened at Disneyland and at Disney World this past year.
So this is an entire kind of part of the park that is Star Wars universe.
Yes.
The stores,
completely
the restaurants.
Immersive Star Wars land. You can shop Star Wars.
There's character interactions. Restaurants that are themed. The cantina. You can go build a lightsaber. You can build a droid. All these extra things that you can pay for and do. It's the most immersive thing. Cool. Well,
they've ever done.
As you walk in, like how droids and characters interact. What was your kind of impression walking into Galaxy's Edge?
Well, this was my second time actually, because I got to go to, my son and I were out in California in the fall, so we got to go to the one in Disneyland, and now we got to go to the one in Florida. So we got to ride the other ride called Smuggler's Run, which is the ride on the Millennium Falcon. We did that in both parks, and
same experience between the two, or is it slightly different? Or
the ride in the Millennium Falcon is like it's pretty much that. It's like a simulator type ride where you have an adventure on the Millennium Falcon, and you have to go bring back some cargo, and so you've got to go through some different adventures to get your job complete. It's a fun ride. You have six different riders. There's a lot of information about this online, but six different people in a car. 2 are pilots, 2 are gunners, 2 are navigators. Everybody's got a job to do. Actually, engineers, not navigators. Engineers. 2 are trying to catch the cargo. 2 are manning the guns. 2 are flying the ship. And that ride opened earlier in both parks, but the bigger ride, the Rise of Resistance, just opened up at Disney World this December, and it's going to open up next at Disneyland. So it was a very high ticket.
Yeah. So tell me, you told me there's not one you walk up and get in line for.
Yes,
because it's brand new.
We didn't know that when we originally planned on going. Okay. We knew the ride was going to be open, but we didn't know what they're doing now, and it's changing constantly. But they have boarding groups every day, and as soon as you enter the park, you have to be in the park. There's an app. You have to join a boarding group. It tells you what group you're in and what time to come back in the day to ride the ride. And it's basically it's been first come, first serve. Whoever's in the park earliest in the morning gets a boarding pass.
So it reserves your spot.
And the mornings we were there, we had already heard that like by 9, 10 o'clock everything was booked up. That's what we had heard. Okay. So the morning we were going to go, we got there at 4:45 in the morning. It opened at 7 that day. We had been told everything from, be there 30 minutes before to 2 hours before. Mm-hmm. So we decided to be there 2 hours before. There were, I don't know how many lines there are there. I would say maybe 50 lines
like
to get in.
Kind of thing.
Where you scan your magic band when you walk in and you do your fingerprint. I'm guessing maybe 50. Lots of lines. Mm-hmm. And we were about 10th in our line. But that was at least 500 people already out there 2 hours early. So, but we're still thinking, well, our chances are pretty good, because what we had been told was you have your app open, and as soon as you scan your magic band to walk through the gate, you'll be able to hit join a boarding group, and it'll pop you in one. So we're feeling pretty good. And then about 6:30 let me say this first. Before about 6:30, I've got some pictures that if we get our website done, I'll post. But by 6:30, where I had about 10 people in front of me, I had hundreds behind me. And again, that's one line out of about 50. So there were probably, there were just thousands of people out there already an hour at least before the park opened.
And these are people primarily there just to do this ride.
That's all they're there for, because there's no, they might be there earlier to ride.
Because they know if they don't get in they're not going to ride it that day.
Right. Everybody knows they've got to get there. So I can't imagine what it would have been like if you walked in an hour before the park opened and you saw thousands of people in front of you, because we were seeing thousands of people behind us and thinking we're so glad we're where we are. But then the day we were there, we'd heard all the way this works. You walk through the gate, hit the app, you'll get your boarding pass. Well, they changed it the day we were there. So at 6:30, they let this massive crowd all the way into the streets of Hollywood Studios. Everybody walks down to the big Chinese theater, and they stop the line there. But everybody's thinking as they walk through the gate that they're going to be able to join a boarding pass, and it didn't work. They got all the people in the park first, and they still waited till 7 to activate the app. So the app went live at 7, and then there were thousands of people.
Gotcha.
There were people who were in line behind us who were also trying to get
7 o'clock free for all made no difference.
7 o'clock free for all. We weren't quite sure. We thought maybe the magic band and our fingerprint knows who entered the park first.
Yeah.
So we had heard that they were getting like 100 to 125 groups a day. We know I never one ever would tell me how many people were in a boarding group. You're just told what boarding group you're in, and I'm not sure what that means, if that's a time of day, but they know what. Sure. That's all we find out they're getting this many a day, and the people that we had been in line with that knew anything said that they were thinking we were going to get probably around 100 a boarding group, and we're thinking, wow, because we think we're pretty close in line. But then they let all these people in line behind us, and they're all going for it at the same time. But we, at 7, mine went right through. My son's phone kind of locked up, and I guess it's because we're on the same Disney plan, my experience plan. So it went through mine. We ended up getting in group in 76. The girl right in front of us got group 61. So I thought then it's probably putting us in order. But see, it's got to decide who's a 1, who's by themselves, who's in a group of 2, who's in a group of 3. But we did meet a family that came in an hour after us that got in group 29.
Oh, wow.
So we never could figure out how they got in line after us and were ahead of us. But we got in by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We got on the ride much sooner than we thought. We thought it was going to be 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
And so we were actually able to get on the ride because now we've been up since 3. Okay. We've been in the park since 3:30. We've been in the park since 4:45. And so
you got on.
By the time we're riding, we're starting to feel.
That's not. But that's.
And we've been in the park about 8 hours.
So you got on a little quicker than you thought, even though it was kind of a little anxiety at the beginning. So now the question was, you got up at 3 a.m. to do this.
Is it going to be worth it?
Was it worth it?
It was worth it.
Was it worth it?
It was worth it.
I love hearing that as a Star Wars fan. All right.
Yeah. And I'm a Star Wars fan, but you're a much bigger Star Wars fan than I am. I enjoy Star Wars a lot, but. And I enjoyed the land a lot. But the ride was over the top.
Really?
Good. It was everything you want. It was just the culmination of, it had some of so many different rides that and experiences you've had at Disney all put in one attraction, from the acting and the animatronics to the ride itself. There's just so many different levels. And so one of the coolest things, and I won't give spoilers, but there are moments that it just makes you feel very small, and that the empire, or that the whole Star Wars universe is so much bigger than you are, because it's just very immersive, and you're just in this scene, and everything is so big. It just was amazing. I think I said this when we met last time, but it's the first attraction I remember in many years. I realized my mouth was open, and my son, we were both going, just wide open mouth, going, "Oh wow, oh my goodness, this is incredible."
It's incredible hearing you. It makes me really excited.
And I was really skeptical. Because
you feel like at a certain point where, all right, you've seen it. You've seen everything.
You feel like you've seen it, and you know that a lot of times when you stood in line, or you've pushed through an experience so hard, and it's, and now you're finally getting in. Does anything live up to getting up at being at line at 5 a.m. And we'd heard so many things, and people in line that were so excited, and people who had done it before. And when we had been at line in Star Wars for Galaxies Edge, people had been saying, "This is the greatest thing ever."
So your expectations are probably sky high already, and many times you're disappointed when you were not at all.
I was not, and again, that's coming from. I'm a huge Disney fan. I'm a huge attractions parks fan, and I really enjoy Star Wars. I think it's great. I love it. I love all the movies. This was bigger than even Star Wars to me. It was just so big that even if you're not a great Star Wars fan, if you don't know all the movies, you'll still enjoy this ride. That's what I was trying to say. Cool. It's not like something where if you don't know what's going on, you'll be like, "What's happening?" It's still a great attraction.
Did it make your top 10, you think, park attractions list?
Yeah, because there's really nothing else like it. It's like such a combination of all of them.
So like recency bias, I know is a thing, but best ride attraction ever.
Well, it would be hard to say it's not. I mean, even though I'm a nostalgic, I'm more nostalgic for the classics that I've grown up with, because I think most of us usually are. It's what we rode when we were kids, and it's why we first loved Disney.
Right.
And so, but this is everything that you hope you will see Disney do, and it's in these things right now where all the Universal and Disney both are creating such great immersive environments. It's what you really hope to see in an attraction. I was really, and one spoiler I'll say is I was really grateful for the more animatronics and less everything being a projection, because I feel like I've seen that in so many attractions. There's some of that, but it felt way more real than a lot of things where you just see the main characters projected on a screen. And
well, I'm
excited
jealous.
for you to go. I can't wait for you to go and take the boys.
I can't wait for me to go too.
Your boys will be.
You'll need it once on the trip. Did you ride it a second time?
There was no way.
No way. You're at 380.
In fact, I was really surprised that there were that many people around us that had endured the lines that I'm surprised that you can. I would have thought they had said,
give somebody else a chance.
In the first month, everybody can ride it once, and you can't get back in again.
Interesting.
But I don't know if they can control that or not. But I was surprised that there were people going back for a second time already.
Awesome. Well, other highlights from your trip, David. What would you like? What was some other incredible things you got? So,
we've talked about so many good ones. I know we're running we're short on time. We did enjoy riding the Skyliner for the first time.
That's new. It's something new thing. Tell me about that. Like,
we weren't staying at a resort that we needed to ride it. We just rode it to do it. We were at Epcot, and so we decided to get on, and we rode, and then we actually ended up coming back to Epcot on it. We just rode it for the experience of doing it. But then one night, I had one in our group had not ridden it yet, and so when Epcot closed, one of my daughters and I rode it out to Hollywood Studios. We had to get back to Fort Wilderness, so we rode out to Hollywood Studios and caught the bus there instead of catching the bus at Epcot.
Just to give it a ride.
Just for a different ride, so she could see it. And it's really amazing. It's really smooth. It's really fun. And for those of us that grew up with Disney and having the Skyway back in the day when we were kids, it was fun riding it again and seeing it come back.
Cool views of the park.
You don't see as much of the park as you actually are over the highways. You're over the interstate and you're in the woods and you're going from resort to resort.
Okay.
So it's fun coming in and seeing the different resorts and taking off again. It's fun when it takes off too. It's taking off at about 11 miles an hour, which when you're in the air, it's a good lift.
That sounds pretty cool.
A lot of fun.
So you were able to do most everything you went to do.
We could not remember anything, even though it was as crowded. And again, it's not necessarily the time of year I would recommend to go, because the crowds are so thick. But if you want to be there on a New Year's Eve, it's a great experience.
Awesome.
It's a great experience.
Is there anything? This is what I was going to ask. Is there anything like, now that you've been so many times and you've experienced with your kids, that you like that you would skip, like any attractions that you used to would never miss that now you like, we've done that, I can let go of that for this over here?
I can skip some things. I usually end up, because I have such a diverse group with me, and I'm probably the biggest fan of everything. If somebody says, Dad, let's go ride Dumbo, I'll go do it. It might not be something I would do every time, but if somebody wanted to do it, a lot of times you kind of look back, and if you get over there and you see the lines, and I'll go, I'm going to step back on this, because look at all these kids that are waiting to do it. I'm kind of at that place. That doesn't bother me, but there's not really anything that I purposely skip, but there's always just seemed like there's not enough time to do some things. And some things we've just done so many times that it's just not worth the line.
Totally understand.
How many days were you in the park total?
This time we were in the park 8 days.
8 days total.
We had, we did have a park hopper, so we didn't stay in one park just every day. We haven't always done that. Sometimes, depending on the time of year we are going to be there, we'll just do one park a day. But we have enjoyed the park hoppers when it's really crowded, and peak seasons. It's really nice to be able to shift and get to another park if you want to.
So, what ride did you ride the most?
I think we probably rode Space Mountain the most.
Of course. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really...
We rode Pirates a few times because for some reason the Pirate line was down, and so it was just a cool break.
Okay.
And again, we had someone with us who had never seen it before, so we didn't feel like we were riding it and I always enjoy it. And they've made changes in that in the past year. So everybody I don't know if everybody in our group had even seen the new change where they took out the old auctioning scene where they're auctioning off the brides. Now they're actually auctioning off antiques.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, I guess
it's a modern take on the story. Yeah. And so there's lots of new things in that and it's one of those rides every time I go, even after going since I was a kid, I always see something in it that I haven't quite seen before. Sure. There's always something I haven't noticed that guy, or there's something over there I haven't seen.
And there's different experience, like the outdoor rides, like Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain. There's a different experience at day and night.
Oh
rides.
Yeah.
And you gotta really hit both.
That's right. And one thing that was different, I don't think I could remember riding Space Mountain with the Christmas lighting. Okay. It was lit up, you could actually see the track. It was everything was pretty cool. A lot of red and green lighting inside. So while we were there, it shifted. It went back to the regular. Yeah. Maybe New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, they went back. And we definitely think it in the dark is much better than when you can actually see the track. Everything feels much bigger in the dark than in the light. So
fascinating.
We like that.
We all thank you for letting us live through your experience.
Fun.
And thanks for sharing with all of us.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
And I'm sure there's many other questions we have. Maybe we get to that. We'll refer to this in future podcasts. We have more questions here. We're kind of out of time. We're sort of like pushing everybody. I don't know. I guess we're never out of time. We're in control of this thing. We could go all night. But I want to ask you about. I still want to ask you about dining. I want to ask you about your favorite foods there, best places to eat. Yeah. Those are all maybe future podcast episodes for park-centered things. And just strategies and maybe some. I'd love to get to maybe your top Disney hacks for being in the park, for when people are going for the first time, do this, maybe things you wouldn't. I'd love to get your perspective on that and talk about that a little bit. But we're out of time for today.
All right.
So thank you, David, for sharing your
thanks for letting me share. It was a great trip. I'm glad we got to go, and it was a great trip. I'm glad we did it, and it was fun thinking back through some of the things we did.
Yeah, and being with your family there, I know you make new memories, and that's what Disney's about. Yep. It's being the happiest place on earth. You go there, you experience, you make memories with your friends, with your family. It's an incredible thing, and that is why we love Disney. And we would love to know why you love Disney too, and share your park experiences.
Yeah, have you ever been there? If you've been there on New Year's Eve before, we'd love to hear back from you guys what you love about that experience, especially if you go there on purpose every year, Christmas and New Year's. I'd love to hear what people have to say.
Thanks for listening to the Why I Love Disney podcast. You can connect with us at whyilovedisney.com. Shoot us a message. We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. We'll see you next time.